Hello everyone and good evening.
And what a good evening it is. Well, today is December 31st, 1970, and we're going to talk about the things that happened this year before the clock strikes 12 and we enter the new year 1971.
Let's get right to it. On April 30th this year, a shooting occurred at Kent State University after a protest over the invasion of Cambodia. The National Guard opened fire and killed 3.
What a tragedy, huh? The invasion of Cambodia, although protested by many Americans, was played out by our esteemed president, Mr. Nixon, between May 1st and June 30th. For those of you who don't know, the purpose of this campaign was to create an equal playing field in the War of Vietnam.
Another tragedy this year was the breakup of our beloved band, the Beatles.
Awful, just awful. They will be missed, and let's hope they carry on their solo careers.
Well, some good news from this year. The Environmental Protest Agency was formed on December 4th. This agency has been created to help all things in the environment.
Yes, and another reform was the Clean Air Act, designed to help keep the air clean.
Well, that's the wrap up for this year. Let's go to commercial break.
Hi, everyone. It's about that time again for me, Janice, and my co-anchor here, Faith, to run down the key events that happened this year, 1971.
Yes, a very exciting year once again. It's 1:30 and let's get right to it on this wonderful December 31st.
Let's start with our recap of some political news. The Pentagon Papers were published this year.
This name was given to the papers published by military analyst Daniel Ellsberg. The papers revealed political and military involvement in Vietnam from 1945 to 1967, which was kept top secret. The public became quite suspicious of their government and began to wonder what else have they been hiding. This was an event which definitely widened the credibility gap between the public and their government.
Yes, and in a related story, the credibility gap ended my marriage this year.
Oh my gosh, we don't need this story again. In other news, the United Kingdom changed to the decimal system for their currency.
And the food processor was invented.
Speaking of the invention, the VCR was invented this year, allowing for many of things to be videotaped and also kept forever. Although not all things should be kept forever.
Well, we'll see you after commercial break. Welcome back. It's 11:31, December 31st, 1972.
And it's time for us to give you another rundown. Let's get right to it.
A lot happened this year on the political spectrum.
First of all, for all you 18-year-olds, or soon-to-be 18-year-olds, then I got some great news for you. After the argument was made that 18-year-olds should be able to vote before they go off to war, the voting age successively was lowered.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
About the new voting age?
No, my marriage.
Anyways.
Listen! You always leave this topic as soon as it comes up.
Well, that's how I deal with my men. Maybe you should try it. Okay, well, we digressed a little bit. Another top story from this year, that was our beloved President Nixon traveled all the way to China and the Soviet Union to begin the normalization after the threat of war.
Also this year, the Anti-Ballistic Treaty was the first major achievement of the détente with the Soviet Union between Nixon and Kissinger détente, which led to restrictions on defensive missile systems.
The strategic arms limitation talks started this year with the Soviet Union.
Also this year, Nixon won the presidential election against George McGovern.
The Equal Rights Act was also passed this year, although it was not ratified by the states.
There were also terrorist attacks this year on Olympic Games in Munich.
A big story this year was the wiretapping of the Democratic headquarters of Watergate, a supposed mystery.
We're going to take a commercial break, but don't go away, because there's more coverage from Times Square coming right up. Happy New Year! It's that time again, guys. It's December 31st, 1973, and this is time for your rundown of this year by me, Janice, and my co-anchor, Faith.
We got a lot to cover, so let's get right to it.
Wish my husband would get right to this divorce already.
This year, U.S. pulled out of war in Vietnam to the joy of many U.S. citizens.
Wish my husband would pull out of this marriage already. Anyways, now the War Powers Act is in effect. This law says the president will have to report to Congress within 48 days of putting troops in harm's way with a 60 to 90-day limit.
Also, a war erupted between Arab and Israel, and there was an embargo act put on Arab oil.
Also this year, the Endangered Species Act was passed, helping America protect its endangered species.
The Roe versus Wade trial was also this year, which legalized abortion.
Of course, the conviction of 5 burglars involved in Watergate back on January 20th is a big scandal that I'm sure will carry us into the next year. Stick with us, guys, for more coverage on New Year's Eve 1973.
Icon. We're rolling.
Welcome back, guys. It's December 31st, 1974, and this is your live coverage of Times Square this evening.
It's time for this year's wrap-up, so let's get right to it.
Well, we finally saw the end of 2 things that seemed to be dragging on for much too long this year. The first was the Watergate hearings, and the second was my marriage.
Yes, this year, former President Richard Nixon was forced to resign from office and was succeeded by his Vice President Ford.
I wonder what was on those erased tapes, don't you, Faith?
Oh, I think I might have an idea.
Well, in other news, we saw the first OPEC oil price increase.
The International Energy Agency was formed.
And we also saw the trial of Milken versus Bradley, which planned the desegregation of public schools.
Stick with us for more live coverage after this word from our sponsors.
Welcome back, everyone, to this wonderful night of December 31st, 1975.
We've got a good wrap-up coming, so let's get right to it.
Yes. This year, we saw the Helsinki Accords unfold, which settled post-war European boundaries and attempted to gain human rights in Eastern Europe.
Also this year, South Vietnam fell to communism, and Arthur Ashe became the first black man to win Wimbledon. Whatever the hell that is.
Wimbledon is a tennis tournament, Faith.
Women aren't allowed to play sports.
Anyways, there were not also 1, but 2 assassination attempts on President Ford.
We also saw the premiere of a show unlike any other called Saturday Night Live.
Oh, I love it.
More than your ex?
I love it a lot more than my ex. All right, everyone, stick with us, and we'll be right back for more coverage of tonight, December 31st, 1975, and we're going to roll right into the new year of 1976.
See you in a year. Can I say that?
It's that time again, everybody.
Should we give them the rundown?
I say it's about time, man.
All right, let's get right to it.
In politics this year, our new President Carter defeated President Ford.
The Muppet Show started this year and had become a favorite for many, including myself.
Revolutionary new invention, the Apple computer, was founded and created by a man named Steve Jobs.
Spoiler, he's going to die like in the 2000s.
You think so, man?
I think so.
I think he's going to last forever. At least his legacy will.
True.
All right, well...
I like the sound of him. I mean it already.
What did you smoke?
Just some grass.
Oh, all right. Well, in South Vietnam and North Vietnam joined to form the Socialist Republic of Vietnam.
Well, would you look at the time? It's 4:20.
Oh, we gotta go. Commercial break. Well, guys, it's December 31st, 1977, and let me tell you, we've got not too much to put down in the history books this year.
There's still a bit of news, however, so let's get right to it.
Well, the big thing for me and all other geeks out there was the blockbuster movie Star Wars, and it came to theaters this year. Whoa. I mean, was that a great movie?
It was alright.
We met a lot of new friends on that big screen, like Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia Organa, Darth Vader, R2-D2, C-3PO, and my personal favorite, the adorable little, big Wookiee named Chewbacca.
I fell asleep, so...
That was completely necessary, though. How dare you?
That was completely unnecessary.
In other news, we say goodbye to our king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, who was found dead of an overdose or a heart attack or something.
What a shame.
Yeah.
Also, the Trans-Alaska pipeline system was finished.
Yeah. All right.
We'll
see you after the break, guys. It's December 31st, 1978, and we've got a couple of things to cover.
Let's get right to it.
Alright, so the Egyptian-Israeli Camp David Agreement took place this year in Washington, D.C. The agreement started a normalization between the two long-disputing countries.
Also this year, we saw the trial of the United States versus Wheeler, when it was decided that the double jeopardy clause doesn't bar the federal prosecution of a Native American who was already prosecuted by Native Americans.
Also this year, we saw a new pope come to office,
Aww.
John Paul II.
Bang.
Congratulations, John Paul.
That's what we got for you folks. Stick with us and we'll be right back.
Hey everyone, welcome back to our live coverage of the close of the decade.
And what a good decade it's been.
It really has been.
Let's get right to it then.
Alright, this year we saw a crisis in oil after some terrifying Iranian revolts.
Also, the Strategic Arms Limitation Acts, the second, saw the limitation and guidelines for nuclear weapons between the U.S. and the Soviet Unions.
I hope those get ratified at some point.
Who knows?
Well, it's looking difficult because this year the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan.
In other news not related to the Soviets, but at the same side of the pond, Margaret Thatcher became the first female Prime Minister of Great Britain and makes a great stride for women's rights. Maybe someday we'll be able to play sports.
Right. Also, Mother Teresa was awarded for the Nobel Peace Prize. Another good stride for women.
We'll be right back to watch the ball drop on a decade that has its ups and downs for all of us, especially my co-anchor.
Because of my marriage?
Yeah.
Alright, well let's hope the 80s treat you right.
Hopefully we live to the 2000s, where they have flying cars.
Yeah!